Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Ineffable Mystic. Today's Ineffable Mystic is Pamela Downes. Hi, Pamela, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing? I'm so happy to be here, Rio.
Doing good too. Tell us about yourself. What do you do?
I have been led to create a spiritual community, safe place for people to be able to explore their spirituality, people from all different walks of life, all different belief systems. And, right now in our world, it's more important than ever before to have a place for people to be able to just explore and share and have conversations and feel safe that they can do that. And I've created that place. We're about 7 months old now, and it's called spirit-calling.com. It's a portal that my guides led me to create in a vision. Um, so the work that I do is I'm a trance channeler, which means that I am able to connect to an infinite collective divine group of angelic beings called the Great Council of Lights. And they use me as a vessel to be able to intuit me with messages of love, support, and guidance for humankind. So part of what they do with me is they support our community and they support the clients that I work with, and they support and wish to support. It's their highest intent to support humankind as they're going through their spiritual journey, and that when our planet is shifting in the way that it is right now. I transmit messages about what's going on in the world. So I do all kinds of things to answer your question.
Yeah, I'm very interested in channeling and knowing more about it.
Mhm.
You mentioned that you have a community. So, how does it all work? Like, people join your community and then they're able to access your readings? How does
Yeah, it's really cool. So it's a membership-based platform. And one of the things that was really important to me, and one day in the future, I would love it to be free. I kind of see it being that way in the future. I'm not sure how Spirit wants me to do that, but I know that that'll be a plan. Um, but one of the things that was really important to me was that everyone has access to be able to work with me, to be able to connect with me, to be able to receive the guidance from the council. So it's really, really small monthly membership fee, and, most times when you're on your spiritual journey, you might attend an event or you might want to work with someone. And, just to involve yourself in those sorts of experiences costs a lot of money. And so in my community, you're able to have access to me, have access to the wisdom of the Great Council of Light. You're able to have a community of people just like you who are like minded. I have courses and I have workshops and I have weekly events that our community members are able to attend and learn about different modalities and learn about different people's spiritual awakening journeys, get inspired and get fed and feel grounded and connected. And so that's really inexpensive. It's $25 a month. And, you know, you can't really even leave the house right now for less than $100 a month, like $100 just to go to the store. And so I feel like that is a good way for people to be able to be connected with me. But then I have other options for people to be able to work with me one on one. It's on my website. So
it?
um, it's like Facebook, I would say. It's like a spiritual version of Facebook where people post and they have emojis and they can share pictures and videos and share their life and support each other.
That's actually a very great idea.
Yeah, we love it. Everyone really values it. And they say, thank you, Pamela, for creating this. And I say, oh my gosh, you're welcome. I'm just like you guys. I'm on my journey as well. And I just listened and I did what I was told. So I'm also serving as an inspiration to others. And people inspire me every day. We're all in the same position, so to speak.
Okay. Tell us a little bit more about the energies that you're channeling.
Hmm.
So, what kind of messages do they usually channel, and what kind of people actually join these communities so that we know who is it exactly for?
Yeah. So the guidance that the Great Council of Light gives us, it's like they know what we need to hear, exactly when we need to hear it. And so they see the shifts that are happening on our planet. They understand how things are getting a little chaotic. They see the way in which we live. Most humans are just putting one foot in front of the other and moving through their days, not really thinking outside of what's one step in front of them. They're not thinking in big ways. The guides always say, always busy, never taking the time to look up at the omnipotent, you know, universe that you're connected to. You are a part of all that is. And so I have come to learn after, a couple of years of doing this, that my job is to help the people who are just scratching the surface, who are just starting to shift, who are just seeing something and there's a crack, that they're
Mhm.
seeing something new and something different and something more, and they want to explore it. And the guides know, and they've always told me, that there's going to be an event that shifts everyone's realities immediately, a waking up, snapping out of it that happens. And that is why I needed to create this place, and other people are creating places just like it. People to come and find and land, feel supported, connected, and safe. Um, the guides talk about frequency and they talk about vibration. We're taught to not know that we have a frequency. We're taught to not know that everything that's living has a vibration, that everything is like we are connected to all that is. We are all individual God sparks. And the guides want me to help through me, with their messages, help teach people how to raise their vibration, how to raise their individual frequency. Because they talk about probabilities, they talk about outcomes and timelines, and they talk about, your frequency and the collective frequency. And they say, you live in a three-dimensional reality. So you have your individual frequency and then you have your collective frequency of all that is in your three dimensions. You'll have an easier time if you work on your vibration. If you work on you, what are you doing? What are you speaking about? What are you spending your time consuming, watching, talking about? Like, what is it that you're doing? Pay attention to that, because anything that doesn't serve you is affecting your frequency. Things that serve you are affecting your frequency in a positive way. So they want people to learn, and they've intuited a course through me that I'm just creating now to help people. They think it's woo woo. They don't know that it's science based. They've been conditioned to not know. So it's a return to, the divine. It's a return to living with that spirit energy that runs your body, your physical body, your spiritual being, allowing it to be connected and also to drive your every single day. And that's why my portal is called Spirit Calling. The tagline is "Live the Call," because you start to hear the little whispers. Things are pulling on your heart, pulling you in a certain direction, and you start to honor those little whispers. So then you start to listen to it. You start to listen, which means you accept it, and then you start to live it. So you're putting that effort and that conviction into making decisions, into moving forward in the right direction. And that's ultimately like what we want to do. It's what the guides want humankind to do. They want them to return. They want to help them return to understanding that. Because when that moment comes and everything shifts, and you haven't been a witness or just even seen or understood this information, it's going to be challenging. It's going to be difficult. You're going to get through it, of course, but it's definitely going to be new. And that's my mission, is to spread the word, to teach as much as I can, to create this space and honor the guidance that I'm receiving, spread these messages as much as I can. Right now, I've always seen that I will be transmitting updates about what's happening on our planet. I've always seen it. I've always seen me posting on TikTok or YouTube. I wasn't sure which one it was. I could see like a phone and a screen, and that something happened. Everyone sees it. And I have all of these people in my community. And about 8 weeks ago, guides kicked me in the butt and they said, it's time. It's time to start sharing these premonitions, these visions, all the downloads we've been giving you about future events. It's time. And about 8 weeks ago, I started sharing them on TikTok and YouTube, and people are feeling that things People are watching cascading things happening. And now you know, they're wanting guidance. You know, these are times that are, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Imminent. Like they have to happen for us to be able to shift into our new earth frequency. And if you're not sitting in a space of understanding that, then you really like it's like a brand new concept to you. And so that's what they want to do. Just help.
Yeah, and I've been getting that intuitively as well, that something big is coming, but I can't
Mhm.
put my finger on it. But I know that something on a global level, just like the virus happens, or something like that is going to happen, but I can't tell what it is.
Yeah.
And knowing yourself and having this spiritual knowledge and the community is so important when events like these happen, as you said.
Yeah.
So I'm sure your community is going to serve so many people around the world when that happens. And I feel that there's nothing to fear if you do have all these tools and people to support you,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's not about being scared, it's about being prepared.
Yeah.
They say that all the time. We're not saying that for you to be scared. We're saying this for you to be prepared. And the comments that I get are they're so varied. They told me, they said, Pamela, the majority of people are going to accept these messages, some will not. And I'm telling you, real, like 98% of the people that see these comments are saying, I felt something, I thought this, I heard this, I was thinking this, I saw this somewhere. And a couple of them, one was very triggering, talked about a future event. And people meet these messages with a level of fear that they're residing in. We all have a level of fear that we're residing in. We either are able to work on our soul body and try to heal those traumatic experiences that trap fear inside of us, or we're not. And when someone is really resonating in a frequency with a lot of fear, when the vibration is low, they are scared when they hear these messages, when they see these messages. So that's my point. They want to help you rise above that chaos, that
Yeah.
fear. Um, I have it too. You do too. Like a lot of the podcasts that I'm on, and I also have a podcast where I interview people. People say, you know, I I was afraid to start talking about this. I didn't know that I should do this, and I was fearful about starting a podcast, but I felt pulled that I should start talking, and I wanted to start working with people. And like, you're pushing through that fear to step into your soul's purpose, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So tell us your story. Like, how did this all begin? Were you always doing this? Did you have this gift in your childhood or did you develop it? So tell us your story.
When I was a child, I was a musician and an artist. So I was very tapped into the creative um, inspiration energy. But I also had this contrast of, difficult childhood with my father. And um, I didn't realize it until later in life, until now, recently, actually, the last couple of years, that whenever things were trying at home and scary at home and I didn't feel safe, I went to my music or I went to my art. Well, I was actually going back to spirit. I was actually connecting with spirit because it felt safe and it felt like that was where I wanted to be. And I didn't ever think that I would be doing this, Rio. Never in a million years thought I would be doing this. And I started having my spiritual awakening journey in like 2008, 2012, like in those years somewhere. It's hard to pinpoint. It was around when the recession happened in the United States. And I had what I call my knockdown. Now, it doesn't have to be a knockdown, but a lot of times there's a gigantic shift in your reality and your perspective, and something happens to kick you on your ass and make you see things a different way. And that's what happened to me. And my husband lost his job at the time. I had my own business. We had a recession. We lost everything. We lost our home. We lost our retirement. We lost everything. And it forced us to step into a new space. And it forced me to um, I don't know. I guess start asking big questions, start seeing things in a different way, and I started questioning religion. I started, um, I had children, and I was wondering, like, how did I want to raise my children, and what did I want to do with these friends that really weren't resonating anymore. Like everything became different, And the very first thing that happened was I found the law of attraction. I found Esther and Abraham Hicks. My camera, I'm so sorry, it's moving. I found the law of attraction. I started understanding that my words were powerful, that I was the creator of my reality, that I was ringing the bell of lack and not enough. And I started saying, oh my God, look what I'm doing. Like I had this witness experience where I was witnessing myself speaking. And I was like, who is this speaking? Who is witnessing the speaking? Like I had that separation. And I started shifting my words, shifting my talk tracks, shifting thought process, stepping into gratitude. I actually forgave my father, which was kind of incredible. And my father died. I saw him die. I was like, where did he go when he died? Like I had all of these big questions, and I watched him. I watched the life leave his body. I wasn't a spiritualist. I was just scratching the surface. And I wanted to know where he went. And by no contriving or manipulating on my end, a ticket to a mediumship gallery came my way. This woman said, Pamela, I can't go. If you'd like to go, the ticket's yours. It's paid for. You just have to find a sitter. And I didn't even try to find a sitter because I was like, I can't. My husband's working. We need the money. And he came home. He happened to be working for the woman who had the ticket. And he said, I heard there was this ticket for this thing. I thought you might want to go. I'll watch the kids. Like I didn't have to do a damn thing.
Hmm.
I wound up going. And the medium came right up to me and said, your father's here. Your father was an alcoholic. He died of his liver. His liver failed. And I mean, I was blown away because I'd never experienced it before. And he said, your father wants you to know that he was terrible to you. And he is so sorry. And he never told you how talented you were. I mean, there were like key things that just were so unique to me in our relationship that it was just proof to me that there was life beyond this physical form. And that was it for me. I a rabbit hole in the metaphysical section of the library on YouTube and in the corner stores. Like I needed to read everything. I needed to understand everything. I needed to learn and experience things. I wanted to have new conversations. I wanted to have new kinds of friends. I wanted to have new experiences. I wanted to do all of this stuff. And that's what happened because that's what I'm exactly was I talking about earlier. When you start seeing things with new eyes, you start attracting new things. People that aren't important fall off of the game board. New players come on that are there to teach you things. And your world starts to shift and your reality starts to shift. And you start to see what reality really exists in and who you are and how you are a spiritual being having a physical experience and how you're connected to all that is and how you are a spark of the divine. And like you just start to consume and consume. A lot of the time, it leads you on your healing journey because you want to know about modalities, and then you want to try a modality, and then you start to heal and break a chakra wide open, which is what happened with me with my heart chakra, and then it happened again with my throat chakra at a Reiki retreat. I had a past life experience come through, and um, it was scary, and was foaming at the mouth, and I was literally in a hanging, locked position, and I was having the physical experience, and that's when like I started seeing visions of that past life. I started having experiences like that's when my clair stuff started, just a little bit. I started seeing, started hearing, I started feeling pulls and knowing, and then I had the call to do ayahuasca. Ayahuasca was calling me. And so, grandmother ayahuasca is sacred medicine, and she is very profound and deep to ritual, and it's plant medicine. And it kind of opens and reveals the spiritual world. It takes that veil from in front of your eyes and opens you up to experience, you know, healing. And that's what happens after that experience, all my clairsenses opened up, and I was able to have visions and downloads and premonitions and experiences with ETs and angelic beings and all kinds of frequencies and vibrations. And um, it was like a crash course in dimensions and frequencies and beings, and like it was incredible. Um, and then the channeling started, And then ultimately it led me to the Great Council of Light. And, it didn't happen that fast. It happened over time. Because once the Claire senses opened in that one retreat, I would work every morning, working with my guides, continuing to do the past life healings, experiencing the trauma of the death, and releasing and rebuilding, releasing and rebuilding, releasing and rebuilding. And every time I did that, my frequency would rise. Frequency would rise and rise and rise. And I got to a point where my vibration was at a place where these beings could lower theirs and we could meet. And that's how the channeling happens. It's pretty cool. Um, so now there's one specific job that I have, and it is to share the messages of the Great Council of Light. I've contracted to do that. And I'm still on my healing journey because I have a lot of fear and how will I be perceived? And what if I put these premonitions out there and they don't come true? There's so many of them, but you have to sit in a space of trust. You just do. And release because it's okay.
Yeah.
It's a skill. You're learning it. You're crafting it. You're honing it, and you're also human. So that's where we are right now with that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your story. Um, it's funny that you mentioned you raising your vibration and then them coming down and meeting you because this is exactly what I said today morning. I was making a reel about this, and this is exactly what I said in that.
Wow.
So
Cool. Yeah, that's
that was a
perfect. That's exactly
synchronicity.
right. Yeah. Mhm.
You mentioned your tipping points about how it was like an aha moment when you delved into this world. Basically, you
Mhm.
realize that okay, this is the real deal, and now I want to follow this because it speaks to your soul, right? And my journey was also kind of the same because I also lost everything, and then I had to, go into those questions about who am I, what am I here to do, and then I came across all these healing modalities, seeing my past lives, and then, the rest is history.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I'm sure it happens in the same way for many people because it involves like an ego death for you, right?
Mhm.
So, when you started this work, were there any people who said that they didn't want you to do this thing, or were there any haters or people who criticized this line of work because many people don't understand it, or they may even mean well for you, but they just don't know that this is real. So, were there any
Yeah.
people like that?
It's so interesting now you're giving me a reflection for myself to think about because no, no. You know who the hardest person is? It's me.
Mm,
It's me. Right? No one has said anything to me. When I was sharing my visions in 2020 when after the ayahuasca journey and COVID happened, rather than sitting in front of the television and consuming all of that, getting caught up in the chaos wave, which is what the guides trying to tell us not to do again. I would start to share my visions and I would start to share my experiences, and my family didn't understand. And I would share that I wanted to share it with everyone. That's why my community is so important because because you don't have anyone to talk to most of the time on your spiritual journey. And I just stopped because I became like nobody really, they don't understand it, they don't really care, and they just think I'm, wacko or whatever. And they just didn't show interest. That's all. It wasn't like they ridiculed or said you shouldn't do it. It's been me. It's been mostly me. I was holding myself back because I wasn't ready. And it was this dance that I clearly have to do in this go around on planet Earth. And until I completely dive 100% into it, which I have, except I run another business, which, you know, um, I'm constantly juggling and running them both. But I don't feel like I have to give one up to have the other. I feel, and I've always had the knowings that it'll be just an understanding. I'll know when the time is, and it will be easy. It's not swimming upstream; it's downstream. And so I trust in them. But no, you know, having now put myself out on TikTok and YouTube, I do hear things from different people, but I had to have a crash course in that. Just like I had to have it in beings and ETs and all the things. How do I handle this? How do I protect myself? What do I let come in? What do I filter out? It's an experience.
Mm.
And that's basically it. It's the journey. It's the journey.
Yeah, and it's a part of like putting yourself on the internet. You will meet all kinds of people. And I feel that when you're not replying to haters or when you're replying to them from a higher place of being, then the frequency of these types of comments it decreases. That's what I've found.
Hmm.
Right? When it stops triggering you, it also stops coming into your field, is what I've seen.
Hmm. Very good observation. Yes.
And have you worked with any teacher or a mentor or a coach to help you with your channeling, or did it come to you on its own?
Very good question. The spiritual medium. I say spiritual medium because I don't know what to call him. He was a psychic medium. That man that I saw when my father first died. I don't know how this started. And it started only because I was so intrigued by him that I went to meet him and I signed up for another session. I wound up going to see him every 6 months. Um, he lived about an hour from me. And I don't know, I did this funny thing. I think it's kind of cool now looking back at it. I signed up to see him an hour session, but I signed up for 2 hours. And I always knew I would bring someone with me. I always knew the right person would present themselves and they would go with me. And I did that for 8 years, maybe like 9 years. Every 6 months, I would go to see him. He wasn't a mentor per se, but I did learn from him because my deceased loved ones would come through and it was like a support system for me because I would always get some sort of guidance about what was happening in my life. And I had to work through a lot. Like my marriage ended because I was feeling that pull. And, once actually the teacher, like he actually became, he elevated in his frequency and vibration too into the next phase of his work where he no longer became someone that I could even go and see or work with. So, and that stopped in around COVID. One person helped me when I was having the intense energies trying to come through the back of my head. And she lived in my community, and someone that I know who was a Reiki, did Reiki, like, you know, spirit brings, universe brings someone right at the right time, exactly when you need it. And she talked to me about that energy and the Atlas, and it's the gateway you know, um, to the universe. And I had had a lot of pressure built up there, and I had to like learn how to harness it. But like she helped me for maybe 2 times, but I never really worked with anyone. I worked with the guides. There was a divine collective of these feminine beings that would come in that were so buoyant and happy and high frequency. And I always knew that when they would come in, that a really difficult past life was about to happen. And they were there. It was almost like they were there holding my hand and carrying me through it. 'Cause I really did do it myself. And people say, "Aren't you scared? How could you do that yourself?" I said this on a podcast last week. Because of the experiences of my heart chakra opening up so intensely at a Reiki share, and like I was howling and crying, because of the experience with my throat, they were like precursors to something that was larger. And so I knew I was okay because I always knew I was expanding. It was not, there was more like desire to move on the other side than there was fear to do it. There was more desire to move on the other side. And there was a knowing. And as I kept doing it, the knowings got stronger. The alignments got like everything increased every single stinking morning. I worked with the guides. I worked with these beings. I worked with the light language. I worked with connecting to do the channeling. I had visions. I had premonitions. I recorded them. I wrote them down. And there was a time when there was I had a lot of interactions with negative beings and with, spirits that were walking around my my property, and they all wanted to connect with me. Because I was so blown wide open, they were all trying to connect with me. I had to have like quartz crystal under my bed, and I had to have black tourmaline on my corners, and I had to like clear my house all the time and do protective visualizations and things around my house. And I had a lot of that. But by the time I rose my frequency to a certain vibration, I don't have any of that anymore. They can't. They're not able to stick. They're not able to stay because my frequency is too high. If I have too many cocktails, it plummets my frequency and I get attacked. I get psychic attacks that way. So I have to be careful. Like if I'm in a party or something like that. But for the most part, I feel like I have one more piece around my neck, something I still have like tension around my neck. And from what I've heard from the guides, the moment this event happens and consciousness shifts, vibration of the planet shifts, things just going to blow right off of my throat. And it's going to be full realization of the visions that I've had and the actual physical happening on the planet coincide to just. And that was a new realization they've given me right in the last couple of months. So I stopped wanting to know why is this here? And now I know. Do you know why? Because the event is coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
How
when they started sharing
soon?
the visions of what's coming.
Yeah, how soon do you think it is going to happen? Like, I have been listening to so many people and interviewing so many people, and most of them say at the end of 2024, 2025. So, what is your take on that?
Um, 10 weeks ago, I was working out and they said, you have to post your visions. You have to post your visions. You have to post your visions. And I was like, come on now. Come on now. Like I'm working. I'm doing this. I'm doing it. Come on. You have to work. You have to like they don't stop. They're like bang, 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 bang. I'm working out. Like my days are like this. Dun, 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 dun. My workout time is this. I actually had a podcast that got rescheduled or something. The woman canceled, and I had an hour in between working out and when we have dinner together, my beloved and I. And I'm working out, and they're saying this. So, fine, 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 fine. So I go upstairs, and normally, like, I'm hair and makeup all day. I have podcasts, I have meetings, I have in-person meetings, and my hair was pulled back, my cheeks were red, like I was just in my old workout clothes, not even my nice workout clothes. I say that because it's very relative. Um, I go upstairs into this little space we have. It's called the loft. There's lots of windows and it's private. My beloved's all the way down the first floor, so I had a lot of privacy. So I go up there and I'm sitting down and I have my phone and I say to my guides, okay, do you want me to do this? Like, you want me to start sharing the visions? You want me to start sharing about war? You want me to start sharing about the tsunamis? You want me to start sharing about nuclear weapons? You want me to start sharing about tectonic plate shifting? You want me to start sharing about famine, death, all the things that I have seen? I'm sitting on a couch with a bank of windows in front of me. A bird came, flew right into the window, and I went, okay, okay, I'm gonna do this, right? So I just got my phone out, and I had really only had my social marketing team ever put things on TikTok. I didn't even know how to use the platform. I don't know really how to use it. I know how to do it very, very briefly. So I got this thing out. I made a video and I said, my guides have been having visions, premonitions, downloads for the last 4 years. They want me to share them now. I told them about the bird and I said, this is what I have been seeing and I'm going to be sharing them now every couple of days. Well, that video had like 11,000 views on TikTok, on YouTube, and then I shared about the stock market. I shared about the tsunami. I've been going like every couple days, and as I've been doing that, it's been like this wave where it's almost like what I told you before about having to experience social media flurry and the comments. I had to experience it all to know how to navigate it. Like they wanted me to start. And the visions have started to increase and become more vivid. So I had a vision in the middle of the night, and I saw a black and white television set, like my grandmother had in her house, with the knobs on the bottom, and it said, "I align with Fatima." So Fatima is a story about these young children in Portugal. They were shepherd children, and the Mother Mary came to them in a series of three separate times. She shared visions of the future. She shared premonitions of the future. She shared about World War One, World War Two, and a possible World War Three that was to come in the future. These children were ridiculed. They were also like almost created as saints, and people used to flock to them for information and follow them when they went to the field to connect with Mary. When I saw that, I was like, okay, I understand what this is. They're telling me that I need to honor the visions that I'm getting because they're showing me that it's it's similar to Fatima. It's similar to these children. And you know, they've shown me visions. They told me to move. They showed me my house for sale by owner. They told me how much. Um, I sold it within 24 hours and I didn't even try. Someone happened to ask me a question and I answered it and I sold my house and it was cash and it was as is and I could choose my sale date. Like I've been so divinely guided because they need me to do this. I've contracted to do it. And so I was just away on vacation. Right before I went on vacation, I had a vision in the middle of the night. I saw a bank of 4 blocks of a calendar. This was at the end of September. And I said, okay, so this is all on my TikTok. Everyone can go at Spirit Calling Pamela, at Spirit Calling Pamela, or YouTube. Um, I said, they've been telling me there's events coming. They've been telling me that there's going to be a series of events that's going to prohibit the elections from happening. There's going to be events coming. They told me that there was going to be an assassination on Donald Trump in February. So everything that they've said has like not everything, maybe not yet, but many of the things that they have said recently have happened. Um, so I put the 4 weeks out there. Then I was away on vacation this past weekend, and I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard third week of October, third week of October, and then I saw I had to get up and draw it. I don't know if you can see this. It's California, Minnesota, or not Minnesota, California, Arizona, and Texas. It's like that bottom southern part of the United States. I saw it with this ring of white arrows around it. And I heard third week of October, third week of October. So as soon as we're done with this, I'm going to put that out on TikTok. I tried to do it 2 nights ago, but they somehow shadow banned me. I don't know. They're starting
Mm.
to like watch my stuff, and my guides have told me soon I'm going to go live on TikTok and also going to start telling people to go to the platform because I've always known that the platform is going to be where I share openly and freely and give. It's called a renewal of perspectives of the Earth's plane. So I'm going to be giving from them a renewal of perspectives of the Earth's plane. It's going to be like update real time. And I can't be restricted with what I'm supposed to say and everything. So when I built my platform, I knew it had to be able to scale, to be able to house large amounts of people. So I invested in developing it that way. So that's where I am, Rio. I don't know anything more than you guys, and it's 3 weeks, the third week of October. And if nothing happens, that's world changing, that's something I know will be relevant. I don't know, but I really feel like something from what they said is right before the elections. They said there's no elections that are going to happen.
Yeah, an event has to be big enough to stop elections, I feel.
Mhm,
There have already been like two attempts of assassination on Trump, so
mhm,
I'm sure somebody is actively trying,
mhm.
right?
Yes.
Uh, yeah. So how do you deal with these kinds of events if they generate any kind of fear in your community. So how do you manage that?
Yeah, it's a good question. Um, Ironically, like people are not scared. They feel empowered, which is a wonderful thing to be able to say. There's one woman who's a new member who does live in Arizona, and she does pull on me when I have to deliver this message because I don't want to scare anyone. Um, but also, like, I know that I have to. There was a young man who found me on TikTok who signed up to do a personal one on one session with me through my website. And he said, Pamela, my wife and I, we have young children. We make good money. We have a beautiful home in a beautiful part of California. Our life's dream was to buy a home in Laguna, California on the beach. Can't do it. I can't do it. I don't know why. I need to talk to the guides. I need to tap in. I'm worried. It doesn't feel right. We've looked at 1,100 houses in person and online, and I just can't do it. And so I was able to channel a message for him, and the guides didn't want him to do that. They wanted him to move in further west in the country. And they didn't tell him where he had to. They wanted him to learn how to tap into his own guidance because he's feeling the pulls, he's feeling the knowings. He's just questioning himself, and it's totally normal. But
Mm,
he pulled it. I said, I can't tell you. They can't tell you where to go, but you have a knowing. And he mentioned something, which is exactly what I had heard. So I just confirmed that for him, which was wonderful. So now he and his family are moving out west. They're currently looking at houses, but he has fear and he's scared. And of course he does. He's got young children and he's got a family to support. He's the provider and the protector, and so that's actually a really good example of being prepared, listening to the guidance. Also, the guides say that if you are in a state of creativity, if you are in a state of working on your frequency, if you are in a state of really being in alignment, listening to your divine guidance, listening to your inner compass, connecting, and not sitting in that sea of chaos, you're going to rise above it. You're going to be protected. Everything is going to be fine. It'll be fine because you'll be able to intuit to know what you're supposed to do. And we've also all contracted to be here right now. I don't feel scared either. Was told to move, and I was feeling a pull to move for like 4 years. I was outside of a huge metropolitan city in the northeast of the country, and I was, I was given the vision. It happened effortlessly to move down to Washington, D.C. Now, that's not where I wanted to go. If I was to say where I'd want to go, I'd want to go to the mountains. But I have to trust that I'm here and everything will be fine. There'll be something, there'll be a reason, I'll be provided for, and that's the state that they want us to be residing in.
mm-hmm. Yeah, me and my husband are also kind of in the same kind of state. So if this happened 4 to 5 years ago, we would have panicked. But situations have been made in such a way that we are also feeling the pull to move from here.
Mm.
So before we'd be like panicking, but now we're all like, it's all okay. We're being divinely guided, and no matter where we go, we will be taken care of.
Yes,
So that only comes with a certain level of energetic development and nervous system regulation, I would say.
yes, yep. Trust,
Yeah.
implicitly trusting.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll ask you the next question. So we've talked about so many things. Um, we've talked about all the channeling and guidance that you receive. Do you also receive guidance at a personal level? And if not, if there are times where you are so stressed, where you don't receive guidance, then what do you do in those times?
Yeah, great questions. Yeah, I'm just like everyone else. I'm living this three-dimensional experience. I have children, I have a beloved, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, I'm a mother, I'm multiple businesses I own, and I have employees with my other business, and I have financial obligations and um, a community that is thriving. where people need me for guidance. Like I'm being pulled in 100,000 directions, and I get overwhelmed, just like everyone else. I actually said I could hear them saying to me today when I was taking a shower right before this podcast, I need to spend more time with them. I need to spend more time with them. And I mean, that's another thing I have to do. Not saying I don't want to, but I'm just saying like I have to find the time for that. But I do, when I work with them, they actually work on my physicality. Um, they, they kind of align my channel. They, it's fascinating. No one's really ever seen me except for one person that I do work with. She's on my team. She's almost like a cohort with the channeling. We practice and she asks questions and we're being prepared to do them live on TikTok. But they move my neck and they adjust me and I hear clicking and all kinds of things. It's pretty cool. But it allows the information to travel more easily. It allows me to be more congruent with it and to hear it, to speak it. Um, but when it's not extremely hot out, I like to walk in nature and I like to be with nature because that really helps ground me. And when I have time, which I don't have a lot of, playing music and being with my painting and those things help me. There's not a lot of time for that right now. Um, if I could be with spirit and be with the guides, be channeling all day long, I think I'd be like so happy. You know what I mean? I think
Mhm.
that would be my goal. And I always say, like, I can't wait till I can just do that. Have a team of people doing all the fussy stuff and all of the social stuff and posting and all the different things. Um, that day will come. I too have to be patient, you know?
Yeah. Are there any success stories or are there any interesting stories that you can tell us about people who are in your community or anyone who worked with you that you can share to
Yeah,
help understand your work better and the transformation that people can get?
yeah. Um, there's a woman, and so when anyone who actually comes to the community or who works with me, and when I say work with me, they could just be a part of my team. They have a calling to be in alignment. They have an up-leveling just by being in the energy of the portal and being with the energy of the council. Um, the cases are so vast and different. Like, for instance, the woman she actually lives in Canada, her name is Megan. Her whole entire life has changed just by being able to tap into the wisdom of the guides, being able to listen and being able to utilize the sound healings that we create every single month to help her with her vibration. And knowing, little nuggets and understandings about her future or the path that she's currently on, if she's on the right direction, in the right direction. And it's like, it's changed her life. It's just so valuable. There's another woman, a young woman, who the universe put in my way. And I met her because I was pulled to do something and I went to this event. I didn't want to go, kept hearing I need to go. So I met this woman. And we had our paths cross and then we went our separate ways. And I invited her to join the community and she never did. And I thought, well, then I moved away and I came back and I was walking into an odd strip mall somewhere that I never been to ever before. And don't you know, I ran into her
Mm.
and she joined the community and she has had so many different issues in her life and getting kind of taken over by the medical system trying to diagnose what it was that she was experiencing when I could see that she was ready to explode with her spiritual gifts. And so she's learning how to harness all of those things by way of just even being near me, being with other people like me, learning, having the opportunity to go to events and have experiences, and utilizing the sound healings, being able to post and share, stepping into more confidently the understanding of herself. Like her life has changed, And when you work with when you work with me and are able to work with the guides by working with me, there's things that they uncover, that they reveal. They're like your deepest desires you didn't even tell your husband. They're things that you are contemplating in your life that you've never discussed with anyone. There are things that you don't even know that you need to know. It's kind of amazing. And that is how things shift. They shift you because it's just like when you see the crack and the light shining through it and you go towards it. It's something new. It
Mm.
changes you. It completely changes you. It's cool. So yeah, and people who migrate towards us have a very quick spiritual awakening. It happens fast. It allows you the opportunity to listen to the divine wisdom that you have within you and that you will receive from your guides. Um, People are struggling with religion. People are struggling with belief systems. People are struggling with dynamics that they've been instilled in. They're coming to the platform. When they land there and they say there was something about it that I felt safe and I felt welcome, that makes my heart explode because that's what I want. That's what I want you to feel. It's like you're coming home. You're finding your way back home again.
Yeah. I also struggled with accepting my gifts for the longest time. Like, I used to have so many psychic and spiritual experiences all throughout my childhood. And initially, I used to tell that to my parents, but then they didn't accept it. They used to take me to priests for kind of like a mini exorcism or something. But
Yeah.
then I understood that this was not acceptable. So I kind of blocked them and only rediscovered them later when I just couldn't control. They just burst out of me.
Yeah.
And my clairaudience always remained active. So that was something that kept happening. And I thought, okay, maybe I have schizophrenia or something.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
So for someone like me, this community would have been so good to have access
Yes.
to at the beginning.
It's true because you're labeled and you're in a healthcare sick care system that can only identify it with certain labels that they have, and it's not fair. And
Mm.
that's the beautiful part about it. Like you said, if you had that, and well, Madeline has that, and she'll be the first one to tell everyone about it. She feels like she understands who she is. And I met with someone recently who wasn't resonating, sorry, with their pastor and their church and the expectations of the church and the judgments of the church, and it just didn't feel right. And they're still indoctrinated in, verbiage that's very religious, and they're trying to find and figure it out. There's no judgment. There's no judgment because guess what? That's all of our stories. It's all of our stories.
Mm.
I mean, and I could relate to him by telling him about my childhood and what I experienced and all the things. And it's like, if you judge things by how they feel, you've got a gauge. That's what the guides talk about all the time. You have a gauge, an internal gauge. Learn how to use it. Honor it. Watch your life change. Simple as that.
All of us have these abilities, but it's so difficult for us to practice them and accept them just because we are made to feel that we are not this, but we are something like we are made to be slaves of the system, but
Yeah.
we have so much more power than that, right?
Yes.
So, what's the one take home message you'd like to give as we are at the end of our podcast episode today?
I would say, it's always different, but right now I'm feeling the guides pull me to tell people if there's something here that resonates with you, one piece of information that resonated from this entire podcast, then you need to explore it. You need to dive into one thing, right? That kind of connected that you feel pulled towards because that pull can start you on a whole new path. Don't ignore it anymore. Listen to it. And, it's very easy now with the internet. You can just do a Google search. You can just start to see things. And I always tell people that work on your frequency and your vibration. Go on Spotify, go on YouTube, go download a sound healing from iTunes. So easy. You have so many things that are accessible to you. So start with that and pay attention to what you're doing. Stop fighting. Stop fighting. Like, that's the one thing. They don't want anybody fighting. There's no reason. There's no reason.
Just yesterday, I told my husband, I said, it is so simple to love. Why do people fight? It is so simple to
Because it's
just
an
love.
energy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if people want to work with you, where can they find you?
Yeah. They can find me on my portal, spirit-calling.com. And then on my Work with Pamela page, there's 3 different ways that they can work with me. And I gave people different options so that it's accessible to all of them. And every one of them can have access to me in the community. And then check out TikTok right now, um, Spirit Calling Pamela, and YouTube Spirit Calling Pamela. But just know that when things start to happen and things start to shift quickly, I'm going to be broadcasting these messages real time inside of my community. So I feel like I have to start saying that now. It's like they're bothering me to start saying
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom and experiences. I learned so much from them, and I'm sure our audience also will. And thank you again for giving us your time. So we'll see you next time. Do you have any last words?
that. No, just thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to share my story with you today.
Thank you so much once again. That's all for today. If you have any questions for me or for Pamela, please leave them in the comments and we'll see you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your day.